but 4% would be increasing the entire step structure. That would be 4% on their base pay. He's talking a one-time step, so we'll have to revisit this again and talk wages if we need to.
That's a very good point, Nikki.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not opposed to Mike's suggestion. I think 4%,
What wasn't mine, it was Pat's.
no, the 1%, the one step increase.
Well, that was Steve's.
No, you were on all employees,
All
correct?
employees, one
Yes,
step,
that's
yes.
what I'm saying.
One-time step for all.
I like the one-time step. I think raising the base pay by 4 to 5% is still high. Just one opinion.
Well, it sounds like we have any one of two motions that could be brought forth at the next meeting. We're hearing it. We have some, I mean, this is the power of the council. See, we all can bring our own motion and see where they go and have discussions thereafter, but this was productive for a work session.
So we're talking a one step across the board and 4% COLA.
It seems to be the majority at the table right now. I could be persuaded to the 4 and 4, but I'm adamant that all receive an increase, and that could be my own compromise with that.
I guess my question is, if we do just the step for the current employees, where does that then leave us for the new officer?
It happens effective immediately. To me, it goes into, it happens now. And that
So
is
essentially,
what
he would
it's-
start at step 2. Is
Yeah.
that what you're saying?
Yeah. Has to, we can't,
Wouldn't it be step 1?
Well,
Cause there's the minimum step.
we have the minimum and be
Oh.
step 1. Yeah, we can't keep pursuing an officer. This map is pretty telling, regardless of where you live, like, what, just our officer, if we certainly need to increase that, and I think that we know that as council, for the second officer.
Well, with the one step increase and the 4%, does that put us in a position where we feel we could get a response to the police chief position and the officer position?
I think it puts us more in line with who we are, size of community, and I think that was really what was that was the biggest spotlight in the wage study, was to keep in mind our resident size. Yes, we have some major highways that run through us, but I think it puts us far more competitive, and I think it still recognizes that we are not the big city.
So essentially then that puts the police officer at what wage?
22.75 as opposed to the
2388.
20. Right now, we're offering 21.23, so this would maybe change it, so it's 22.75.
Can I see that, Pat?
Moves us from 2123 on the officer position to 2187.
said it go 22.75.
22.75 if you did the one-time step increase and the 4% COLA.
Okay.
What 21.23 is what we have it posted at currently.
And at one point,
That's
our
just a
discussions,
change.
we were at a table at 24.41 for that,
That was 4% on it.
so we're still.
Well, then
under
do we
the
do a
discussion.
one-time
This is
two-step
like
increase for the part-time,
This is what we're.
I'm sorry, full-time second officer? Is that more,
That
please?
4% was just on 2023.
Just trying to bring some.
Yeah, I mean,
That's been our issue at hand.
22.75 is still low. It was
That,
better than where we were, but at one point this table was at 24.41 based on.
in 2020, yeah.
That's
In
one of my
2023,
concerns,
we had
I'd
4%.
like us to have a reasonable expectation, nothing guaranteed, right?
Mhm.
Just reasonable expectation that
That's for the
we'll get
previous.
some response to our posting for a position. Rather than being back here in a month or two with no responses. And going to it again. So,
So I think as we look at not just the police officer, but when we open it up for chief of police,
Because they don't want to raise. the
Where does that
base
put
by
us?
7%. Maybe starting there, let's say, okay, that person leaves, the next person's.
Hang on, Miss Brenda, I'm getting there.
Yes. Can I ask for some clarification too? Bruce kind of brought up a good point. So if we're doing a one-time step increase, so say we're doing one-time step and the 4% COLA. So we hire an officer at 22.75. So this is one time. So the next, so say he works 6 months and then quits, are we hiring the next officer at 22.08? Or if we're hiring them at 22.75, why aren't we just doing the increase to the base pay?
Because that affects the whole step structure. A one-time would just, one time you're bumping them up to get some applicants.
But then you're only getting them for this one, and then the next batch of applicants, you're paying them less.
No,
I don't think so.
I think my interpretation is we're starting at 22.75.
So they just like wanna get rid of the minimum step, essentially,
Perhaps,
and start people at step 1 instead.
get rid of 0.
Mhm.
No one wants to be a 0.
And I think I saw in our personnel manual too, where if you bump up too many steps, there's a way to slow that down towards the end of their, so they get all their raises. I'd have to look back, but I was reading through that too, so
did you have a number, Mike?
council decision.
Like I thought I would.
So Darcy, my question was, if we do the one step for the chief position, when we start there, where would we be at for base?
29.04.
Plus the 4%, right?
That's with the 4%, correct? It's 29.04.
So really, it's a 7% increase, which,
Yeah, it's kinda how we break that down though, cause the 4% was annual, coming through the steps and lanes. we're the ones advocating for a one-time step of 3 or 4%, which makes that number become 7 for the one time, yes. So it sounds like we have come to some understandings, not necessarily agreement, which that's fine, but we've got some options for our next council meeting of which direction to go. And I'll respectively ask that those who wanna bring their motions forward, please do so. Based on what it is that we talked about here. And
What
those-
do you want me to use to bring the preliminary levy? So we can approve it at the September 11th meeting? You don't have to make a decision, but just so that we can set the preliminary levy, I need a number before then.
The last time we went
We went high and then.
high, and I don't think we need to do that this time, based on all the other discussion, it's a lot of numbers. Is there a number that you're comfortable with, that you would recommend or suggest? Last time we went 12, and that was the maximum we could, and we could lower it, and we did. We were all the way down to 4.
Well, it depends on the,
So should we, just for the sake of consistently being repetitive, just go with 12 and then adjust accordingly based on our decisions on wages?
well, it's broken up by different departments, so, or broken up by the general fund, fire, street improvement, all these things. So. I need to know how much percentage you wanna go towards all these things.
But we have to break them out individually.
I have to report it the way it is written on that first page.
Well, I don't, this is me speaking, I don't see any reason to go any further than the 10.1 or the 10.3, cause everything we've discussed is well underneath that. Everything we've discussed is wages, which only impacts the general fund, none of the other categories or projects.
Correct. All of the bonds have to stay, cause that's in the schedule.
Yep.
But yeah,
So 10.1 would suffice for our initial proposal.
if that's what you guys wanna do.
And Brad, am I correct in, with what we talked about after the last meeting, that none of this impacts that? Okay.
So Darcy, 10 would be our new 12, like last year. We went 12 and didn't, we were never even close to that.
No, we were at 14.
So for the sake of your reporting, unless somebody else has a reason to disagree, just go with 10%, and we know we're gonna come in under that.
10.11.
Yeah. That leaves everything else intact and leaves us the fluidity to make our decision on wages and cost of living. do wanna circle back, cause I feel like we've made some decisions about wages that the individual council members can bring their own motions in the next meeting, but we have in the past utilized dollars out of the general fund to spend down the ask. And is that something that we wanna consider doing again? How many years in a row has the council done that? Do you remember?
At least two,
Two?
that
So,
I know of.
so this
At
would be,
least two, it may have been more, but
I think it was.
I'm really concerned about it getting to be a habit and drawing us, in time it'll draw us down. And that's not what it's really intended for.
no.
Bruce, can I put you on the spot, and if you don't want to, just, you know what to say. In the last meeting, not last meeting, last year, when we took 10 grand out of the general fund, you made what I considered an intelligent reasoning, what's going to happen down the road. Do you remember what you said, or? No? Okay. You're being polite, aren't you?
It just doesn't seem like it's like taking out your savings accounts every year to pay your bills, and eventually, then what do you do when you get to the end, you gotta make a huge increase or something.
Similar to your thoughts.
Hmm?
Similar to your thoughts. Can't keep taking from savings, eventually you have to repay savings.
Yeah.
Has anyone considered the couple of things I brought up to possibly make more money? Hiring a financial advisor maybe to invest some money was one option. I don't think I printed out my email, I just remember asking that one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much they cost, but I think it would be well worth the money.
The return on the investment of a person.
Wouldn't hurt to look into it.
Yeah.
Should we get a quote on what they
Yeah.
cost?
Try to get some quotes for next meeting.
Contact the league and see if they have some information that would help us.
Well, if there's no more discussion regarding the spending down of general fund to offset the levy, then we'll just move forward with that to our next council meeting and have the discussion there. Anything else for discussion before we motion to adjourn?
I think we just need to, at our next meeting, discuss what the job description officers, if they're gonna be working any weekends, cause it's a public safety concern, and we've had several people come into our meetings address it. I'd like to bring that up at the next meeting as well.
So you would like the police officer job description?
No, I haven't.
I
just
have
wanna-
on the agenda.
Want it on the agenda? Well, then it won't be discussed.
Okay, put it on the agenda.
So, yeah.
Both of them, the officer and the chief, or just gaps?
Yeah, you might as well put them both.
Put them both on.
Me as well. And it already says in there that they are expected to work some weekends and nights.
And what are we doing with the second police squad car? The $85,000 car?
My understanding still remains that it is still in the works to be purchased and utilized. I don't remember canceling that.
I believe it's been ordered.
Well, yeah, but it's also been said it can be canceled at any time. Can that be put on the agenda for
To open up the
September 11th.
discussion? Is that what you're asking? To
Yes.
open the discussion back up?
Yes.
So,
And that's just not me, it's tons and tons of people.
So the council agrees to add the squad to the discussion for the agenda.
So, for the sake of discussion, Steve, and to those who are opposed to it, we cancel the car, we get $85,000 back in a checking account that he already could afford to purchase the car. We are pursuing a second officer, and I go back to, what is the appeal? Get hired in Motley, but we really don't have a squad for you. And when our squad's down, we really don't have 2 officers that can do their job. The taxes have already been paid. The money was in checking. I don't care to have the discussion again. I would be opposed to any type of cancel the squad car motion. Just so you know my 2 cents on it. We've heard the outcry of the need for public safety, and this one squad we've had has been in the shop enough where we've been without a squad and a chief who can't do his job and can't be seen on the streets as it is. I think being self-sufficient with having 2 vehicles, fire department has everything they need, public works has everything they need, why not our officers? And Morrison County was already here to say, we can't get to you when the time comes, if you think we're your best option. So again, we certainly can discuss it again, and I'll repeat all of that if I need to.
I'll sell you a gator, you can put lights on that.
If that were legal, sir, sure, but it's not. It doesn't work that way. So, would you please, Darcy, at Steve's request, because that's how we're gonna add that to the agenda to discuss the squad car again. And I also wanna be, really just promote to those that are here and to the council and to our department heads, please encourage any and all to watch these videos, follow, because a lot of discussions we're having, despite that it's all said here, a lot of misinformation is out in our community. I'm still being approached as to why we're not hiring a second officer, this, that, and the other thing. So when we talk like this, it does create dialogue, but, we all should work to be proactive to what is the real story, and maybe why we have the discussions we do. Because there's too many stories that are not actual, not factual, and creating a lot of misinformation, a lot of confusion with people.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah,
a
well,
lot of
here we are having
misconceptions.
another talk
Yeah.
about a squad car we've already approved. And we're gonna go back to it again, and I don't understand it.
If if you think it's that cut and dry, the discussion will last 2 minutes, so don't worry about it.
Okay. Thank you.
I just want it out there for the public to know how I feel, and that's exactly how I feel.
Alright. Anything else for the purpose of the work
I would
session?
like to circle back to my request about the administrative assistant working 32 hours and getting benefits. Whether it's Sarah or a new person, I think
No,
there is work to be done and I could use the help.
so is it something, because I actually have a few things written down here too, Darcy, that maybe it's a discussion of benefits, additional benefits or what have you for departments? For example, I was, on the police chief side as well as on the, police officer, this whole clothing and equipment allowance. That we give $600 to them on their paycheck with taxes taken out, and then they're expected to buy all of their gear. So I guess I'm looking at that the discussion of how can we attract new officers or a new police chief with some throw-ins, if you will.
Pre-tax options for employees.
Yeah. So I guess my question, Darcy, is that, can we talk about that at the same time we're talking about others? Or would you like them separate?
Well, I just feel like she's overshadowed by all this discussion about police officers. Like, she makes the very least of everybody, and she has a hard job to do. She has to do lots of things, and I can use the help, and she deserves the pay. I don't think it's fair that she's the only one who doesn't get benefits.
Highest turnover position in the city in
Highest
the last
turnover,
10
yes.
years.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think,
I don't understand why it's discussed to give the other employees raises, but not that position.
Well, I think with Mike's proposal, would that include Sarah? I mean, she would bump up a step as well.
I'm just saying that the comments were made that she doesn't deserve a raise, but Brian, the police officer, does. And I don't think that's fair. I don't think where she's at is fair.
I'd be willing to bet that after you go back 10 years and that position was defined by a person, and maybe was in it for a long time, and again, it's about the position, not the person. And I've been a part of a limited time, but I go back to 4 of her hours are covering the 2 of you, so you can take staggered lunches in the city office. I mean, I'd like to think there's more to her job than just covering your lunch. I've seen that there definitely is. So I'm not opposed to going to the 32 hours and looking into benefits. Otherwise, how much of your time will be spent training and retraining and training and acclimating? You are the trainer and the acclimator to the position.
Every time you get someone new, they gotta relearn, so things are getting done
Yep.
multiple times. And people are constantly saying, oh, you're a new face, so I think we need stability, and that would help.
Put it on the agenda.
And it goes back to, like I said, we spend the same, I feel we spend the same money over and over again by just retraining.
Agreed.
And we get good people like Sarah in, and we can't keep her.
So that discussion and decision has to happen at the next council meeting. There's not anything we can do here, correct?
Yes, I'm just bringing it up because it has to do with the budget
Yep.
and what we've been letting in. And that, those numbers do not include Irving at 30 and that would be in that supplementary one.
So I'm still, yeah, you have the one that's
So
top
if you
with
go with,
Sarah's.
if you go with the 10%, 4%, where you were using the 10.11%, it just raises it to 10.97%.
So we'll go with the 10.9 for the purpose of your math already being done. So you don't have to do it again. How's that?
Sure.
Look at that. It's a win for Darcy. So then as a council, we should focus on, with the idea that that position may go to 32 hours of benefits, we'll concentrate on that one that's headed that way that Darcy gave us. Cause that will reflect the accuracy of that position being at 32 hours of benefits regarding the levy and everything else. Anything else, department heads?
Yes, I
Darcy?
would like to talk about the 401 fund. We had kind of talked about this a while ago, but kind of updating how we want to do it. If we wanted to keep the public works equipment separate from the public works vehicle, or if we wanted to combine them and just say like public works vehicle and equipment.
On page 11. Here,
Page 74.
Page what?
oh, the 401, okay.
What page?
74.
So falling under the equipment piece of it?
It's just sat there for a while, and yeah, so I feel like we should just combine it. And
Well, it's Saturday, last year we bought a lawnmower.
we didn't for $12,000, $8,000. We didn't have enough money in to buy the lawnmower. So I think if we're gonna do one department that has a vehicle and equipment, maybe we should do all of them or combine them all and say vehicle and equipment. And,
Were there any pros in keeping them separate?
I think it makes it easier if we combine them.
That's what I mean, are there pros to keeping it separate?
Do you guys have pros for keeping them separate?
Yeah, you still keep a track of where funds go out and stuff.
Well, yeah, there's still the other spreadsheets. I have a spreadsheet for each one of these lines, we would just like combine those.
It'll still be public works.
Yes.
It wouldn't be combining the police and.
No, it would combine public works equipment and public works vehicle and be public works vehicle and equipment fund. And then you still have your parks fund. I just think if we kinda just made this a little easier to deal with.
The detail's still there in the audit, and they have individual purchases and use, so it doesn't really. The ease is for your office,
Yes.
not for us.
So if you guys are okay with that, I'm gonna update that.
Let's take a chance and combine them and see how crazy it gets in 2024. Let's live dangerously and combine two item lines.
Can we combine both of these?
Yeah.
I cannot attend the next council meeting, so if anybody has anything for me,
Is it ever gonna rain? Ever?
eventually, it's raining in Florida right now,
Okay.
that's where I'll be headed.
It's a little something.
Nice, good for you,
For you.
Brad.
Sir, will there be somebody here then so we can discuss and vote on?
If you meet, I can get somebody here. Okay.
Or maybe it's just on the agenda?
I don't have anything on the agenda, other than the monthly report. The pension thing that we talked
Yeah.
about last time, that can be tabled.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
it was-
we'll just wait on
Yeah.
it.
Because then it's not a budget item, so.
We're good.
I kinda hate to throw somebody in the middle of this.
No, I think if you're reporting there wasn't anything for action, it's a great meeting to miss.
And you're all aware we got the grant, so that's.
Yep.
There's just a report on that, I think.
What was the total of that again?
$151,800.
Awesome.
He's got rid of the
Good
top of
job.
his head.
Perfect.
Good job, Brad. Nursing.
Anything else, Darce?
Do you guys have anything else on the budget you wanted to discuss, or is everything else done?
I do not.
I think everything else is good.
Does anybody want to take this with them, or can I take it?
You take it.
You have it, Pat.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Any more discussion needed? Hearing none. Meeting concludes at 7:21 PM. Thank you all.
You know Norma on here?
Back with sort more, am I calling it a day?
I married into the family, so I'm not sure who that is.
Yeah, but it's